So I don't know about any of you, but I got fed up with paying for all these nutrition apps that still require a lot of manual input from the user, from us. And you're paying for features that are either you don't need, aren't customizable to you, and everything's locked into like this app system. You can't really utilize other apps and other ways of looking at all of the information and the data. And so that's what I want to talk about in this video, because I've developed a system that is dirt cheap to be able to do so much more than any of these apps are offering. And I want to share that with you guys so that you guys can copy this system and become better athletes or lose the weight that you want to lose, achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. And if you're new here, I'm Coach Daniel. I'm a scientist turned cyclist, and I'm basically trying to be the coach for all the self-coached athletes out there, so to help you guys along the way. Now, where I'm coming from with this is I was 95 kilos during my PhD. And I got to the point where I needed to start tracking my nutrition. And I went from 95 kilos down to 63 kilos last summer. So I've done it. I know all the pains of doing it and the pains of tracking of doing it. So I started with MyFitnessPal on the free version. I was not going to pay $80 a year for that. Even if, people say like, oh, but you're investing in your health. Yeah, but there's better ways to invest in your health than one single app costing you $80 a year that you end up not even really using, because you still have to enter things in and track things, right? So I went the hard way of doing it all myself and using an app called Macros. And great thing about Macros is it's all your own database. It's free. The bad thing about Macros is you have to weigh all the food, and you have to weigh the food every meal, every ingredient, enter it in manually, every meal, every day, again and again. And I did that for 2 years. Let me tell you, by the end of those 2 years, I was sick and tired of that whole process. And that is what has led me to down this path that I've gone. So over the winter, I decided, I'm done tracking. Not doing it anymore. Nope. That was great until it wasn't great. It was great to get a mental break, but I did end up gaining some weight, even when I have spent 2 years tracking and I know how much the food weighs and how much I should be eating roughly. You still need to be tracking some way. So I said, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And I looked around to see what other apps were out there and was like, oh, Hexus. The World Tour teams of cycling are using Hexus, some of them. Let me take a look at that. And I was like, oh, it's going off of carbohydrate periodization. So what is carbohydrate periodization? Well, so on Hexus, everything in green here that you see is a high carb meal. And this is going around my Tour of Hainan stage 1. So this is a 5-stage race. And I know I haven't published those videos yet, guys. I'll get there. I'll get there, trust me. And so 5 days, we're going to have high carbs. The day beforehand, we have carb loading. So it takes that into consideration. And then the day before that, when there wasn't a hard ride coming up the next day, we had low carbs when we didn't need it for breakfast, and then we started ramping up the carbs throughout the rest of the day of meals, leading into the carb load day. So it was great, but it cost $20 a month, and you still have to enter in everything manually. That became a bottleneck for me. I was sick and tired of entering in every single food item manually, and sometimes you'd enter it all in and then you would go back to the day and it somehow didn't record it, and it was just super frustrating, and I was like, I'm not paying for this. So what options does that kind of leave us with? Well, I said, I have all these research papers. I'm a coach. I have all this nutrition data for myself and tracking all of my weight based on what I was eating. Let me enter all that into AI and build my own system from that, and I can apply this system to my athletes as well, and then it benefits more people than just me. That's great, except when you put this into, let's just say ChatGPT, whatever model you want, and you're using it as a chatbot, even when you give it all of the context, it will forget. because those models are not really designed to remember. You run out of context windows in the session, and then it starts to compact the session and it gets rid of the context, right? So there's other ways of doing that. And what I've built here makes the memory of this persistent. You can put in any model that you want, and you will always have all of this context and data in perspective that you can build into skills and tools and customize in any way you really want to. So let me walk you through a real day of training and using what I've built for myself and show you exactly kind of how you can build something similar for yourself. So if we go over to Intervals.icu, which is what I use for tracking all of my data. And if you guys didn't know, I also have a group here. You can search for this name or link in the description. And it's free training. Everything here is completely free in English and in Chinese for cycling and strength training. And there's a community there as well that help each other answering questions. So it's really cool. So I did 4x10 over-unders this morning. Normally I do these like back to back, but I decided to separate them apart. I'm going to do this session here the second we're done recording this video. And I burned 1,356 kilojoules. And for today's morning session, I decided to wear the RBU skin suit. The parent company is LAMEDA, and partially because it's getting really, really hot out, and this one is very breathable, very comfortable to wear. It has this like gripper right where you sit on the saddle. I've never seen that before on a jersey before. Maybe that's just me, but you don't slide around. It feels like you can have like really good power transfer. It's just easier to get the power through because you're not like, you're always in the same position. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was a really strange sensation. I really liked it. And for this evening session, I'm probably going to do something like the silhouette jersey because it's a lot hotter out right now than it was this morning. And this one wicks really, really well. You guys can use the unlock code BONK15 to get 15% off your next order from LAMEDA. So if you're familiar with a lot of these AI systems and kind of like what's been hot in AI, you'll recognize what this is right away. This is Obsidian. It's an app. It's free. You'll notice a lot of this common theme with me. I like free things, free tools. And basically what I've done is I've gone through and taken all these different research papers on cycling training, endurance nutrition, cycling nutrition, pulled in all my weight history and correlated that with what I ate during that time. And I've built this ginormous database of what I have with interconnecting pieces so that when I give this context to an AI system, an AI model, and want to build a skill, a nutrition skill, a nutrition tracking and planning skill, it has all this data to go off of, and I can help shape and guide it and mold it to be what I want it to be. And what I use for that is Hermes Agent. Hermes Agent is, you guessed it, it's free. You can plug in any AI model that you want. I have a local model on my machine that I sometimes use, although I need to train it a little bit better to do some tool calling until I can actually really trust it. So right now we are running off of DeepSeek V4 Pro. And what I'm showing you here is what my original plan was for this week. Based on, I tell it, hey, go to my intervals.icu, using my API key and look at my training for the week that I have planned, and let's do a nutrition plan for that week based on all the skills that I have like put together and trained with you to do, and the idea around carbohydrate periodization. And I want you not just to look at the next day, like in Hexus. Hexus only looks at one day next. I want you to look at the whole week. I want you to look at what I did 2 days ago, what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today, what I'm doing tomorrow, and the rest of the week. I want you to have all of that context so that you can look at it and say, okay, here's how we need to be feeling all of these sessions and recovery. But we also have weight goals that we want. I'm trying to hit a certain weight by a certain time. and I'm also trying to do really high quality training. Like, how do we balance all of that? You can build all of that into the system. That's what I've essentially done here. So Tuesday, I had to take my Chinese driver's license exam, which I passed, thankfully. So that was kind of a rest day, so lower calorie. And I told it, like, I'm not gonna have access to a lot of protein that day. It's an 8-hour round trip. I'm celiac. I can't just go eat anything down in China. But carbs are very easy for me to find and get. So I relied heavily on carbs that day. And that's fine. It decided, okay, we're going to have a little bit higher protein the next day, and we're going to have a little bit of extra carbs in preparation for Thursday. Now, I didn't do this workout on Wednesday. This wasn't updated yet. I decided to do that today on Thursday with the VO2. And I had that conversation with it this morning. So one of the great things about Hermes is that you can talk to it not just at your desktop, which is really, really, really handy. So this is on QQ. You can also use like something like Telegram if you're international. QQ is great if you're in China because you can assign different chatbots as different bots to different profiles on Hermes. So I have several different profiles. Each profile kind of does one thing really well, and I'd like to keep it that way. So I told it, oh, hey, I'm actually not going to do these back to back today. I'm going to separate it out. And it said, oh, okay, great. Here's a recalculation on the targets for today. And it's going to put me at negative 861 calories at the end of the day, which helps me reach my weight goal. And that is determined based on an algorithm that I have worked with it on based on a bunch of research and what works well for me as an athlete in terms of on what type of a training day I can go into what type of a deficit. So very customizable to me, not some other algorithm deciding for me. And yeah, so that's great. It gave me what I should be having for each of the sessions. I ran into one issue, and that's with when setting this up to film, of course. I've been using this for so long, and now QQ says, oh, hey, we need a Chinese ID to verify your identity. Well, I don't have Chinese ID. I have passport, and it doesn't understand how to use foreigner passport. So I need to fix that issue. There's another way that, another app that I can use that I tried using. I don't like the output. But basically with these, you can voice talk to it, and you can just say, like, here's what I had for breakfast. And it takes that and it tracks it according to what the plan was, and it recalculates the day based on the overall plan and what it sees for the whole week. Really, really great way of doing it. Now, what I've done here is I've actually gone back in to the Hermes desktop here to update it so that we can actually see it in action. And I told it what I had during the morning ride and then what I ate after the morning ride. And then I gave it a prompt of, hey, tell me what I should eat before my VO2 session this evening. And I don't really want to eat a ton of food afterwards. Sometimes these apps won't, some of these apps, when I've done it, like they have it so you have to end up eating like so much afterwards. And that doesn't make any sense to me. You should eat to fuel the training that's coming, not just to like recover what the hole that you dug yourself into. And that's exactly, it's done it correctly here. So it's not recommending, I don't want to recommend too much. And I can watch it think and go through and think through the process. And it sent it over to my nutrition agent, which I have developed specifically for this so it doesn't get confused as what it's doing. And it came back, and there's some things still to tweak with it. It said, oh, okay, hey, have one banana and 25 grams of sugar and water. Who's going to go put sugar in water? I'm not going to go put sugar in water. I would probably update this and say, hey, you know what? Why don't we recommend this type of meal or this type of meal before rides in the future? Because that's what I prefer. And it will remember that when I tell it that. It's told me how many grams of carbs to have during the ride, and then it told me what I should have for dinner, and this is a reasonable amount of food. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And then it noticed, it thinks that I don't have a ride for tomorrow. The nutrition agent actually went to my intervals and it actually saw like, oh, hey, you updated something and you put an additional ride in, so we need to have additional food to replenish your glycogen stores, because originally you're going to have a rest day, and so we don't have to replenish the glycogen stores, but now you're riding tomorrow, so we need to add additional. So probably added some of that extra rice for dinner as that additional. So, really, really smart way of doing it. And like I said, all of this essentially is nearly free. It's just whatever AI model you want to input in, and a lot of you are already using AI models. If you have a ChatGPT subscription, the $20 subscription, you can use that in Hermes. I don't think that's actually really necessary. I think a lot of the Chinese AI models are definitely good enough for this type of work. From some other things, definitely not. But for this type of work, for a repetitive task of what a nutrition app should be and can be, that you can make it to be, this is perfect. And it's dirt cheap. You're not going to be paying all of this monthly fees, and you have full control over all of this. And if you have a big enough machine and run a local AI, all of it is secure on your own network. You have access to it. I don't see why anyone should be buying these nutrition apps at this point. I highly recommend going this way. If you're still not quite at the point of being able to implement this, I do recommend Hexus. You will have a pretty good experience with Hexus, and you will reach your weight goals with Hexus. It is a well-designed app. So it didn't work for me because I'm tired of entering stuff in manually, but if you need to, that's the one that I would recommend to go with. Now, I am taking this and I am applying it to my one-on-one athletes that I coach. I'm not there yet. I've built the full app. It's a web-based app at the moment. I've built the front end. I've built the back end. Everything works. The problem is the hosting aspect, because most of my athletes are in China. Not all, but the vast majority are in China, and I want this to be available without having to use a VPN. So I'm trying to figure out that whole process. It's quite a process to figure out when you're a foreigner in China. So if you're one of my athletes and you're watching this, good things are coming. But bear with me a little while. It's going to take a while before I can figure all that out. And if you guys want to see more details on this, and maybe like what I'd recommend for like what research papers to look into, how to pull things in, or what that like app dashboard is that I've built, like let me know in the comments and I'll show you guys in a future video. Every athlete that I have coached in the past or am coaching currently, eventually we get to a point where the bottleneck is not the training. The bottleneck for progression is nutrition. And as much guidance as I try to give by myself for each athlete, you can imagine every meal, let's say an athlete needs to eat 3 to 4 meals a day, plus fueling for the ride that they're doing, times how many ever athletes you're coaching, it becomes near impossible to give that sort of guidance myself. I'm not a nutritionist, and that's not what my full-time job is to do. My job is to train and cycle, to tinker and develop tools that I enjoy using and can apply to athletes that I coach, and to be the best coach that I can be for my athletes, and also hopefully for you guys here too. So if you have training questions and stuff, let me know in the comments, and maybe we can get around to making some videos on those as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sure this has been a bit of an extended video for me at this point, but it's one of those that I think requires the time to actually look and understand. All this AI stuff out there, a lot of these videos, people are just like, oh, this model's best, oh, this model beats this one. And they're just content creators using AI to create content about AI, and it's just like, oh, it's so meta. There's like YouTubers making videos about how to be successful YouTubers. It's just like, oh, do we really need this? No. I want to show you guys how to use these amazing tools that are at our fingertips now in 2026. Use it, harness it, study it, watch it, because you still need to be the brain. You need to watch what it's doing. You need to understand what it's doing. You need to sanity check it. And that's the difference between just chatting to GPT and thinking that you know how to use AI versus being a power user and really harnessing the full power that this can bring to your training and really level yourself up. So if you're on board with that, make sure to follow and give this a like, share it with some of your friends. I'll catch you guys on the next ride.